I'm Mel Stewart, and this is the SwimSwam podcast. Joining us today for the CEO series, really the Swim Leadership Series. Maybe we should call it the Founder Series. Is a 5-time U.S. national champion, perhaps unofficially the fastest flutter kicker on Earth at 400 meters, a former American record holder, CMO, and co-founder of Big Blue Swim School, Chris DeJong.
Hey, Mel, pleasure to be here with you today. Really excited.
You got to come in. You got to come in heavy with some cheers. You were captain of the University of Michigan team in 2006. I imagine you led some cheers.
That's right. Yeah, I was captain of the Michigan swim team back in 2006, along with my good friends Peter Vanderkay and Davis Tarwater. We were tri-captains. Yeah, that was. It seems like forever ago now.
This is the milk and honey days of the University of Michigan. I mean, Michigan's always been great. I always enjoyed when I was in college going up to Ann Arbor, and we did our like that end of November, early December shave, semi-shave meet. Let's be honest, University of Tennessee, where I swam, we fully shaved. We came to win. I don't think the brand check was letting you guys rest. You have been in the mix with elite swimming and a part of elite swimming. How many years did you represent the U.S. national team?
Well, I was a member of the team in one form or another, I think from 2000 to 2009 when I ended my career. So quite a while there. I was fortunate enough to get, some of the B team stipend to help, fund the swimming career. But as you know, it's not a lot. But I was still really grateful to be, part of that and got to compete in high school on the Goodwill Games team before they ended the Goodwill Games. So that dates me a little bit. But that was a really cool, informative experience. That was the first time I represented the U.S. And that was really cool. I got to meet guys like Gary Hall Jr. and Tom Malchow, and Chad Carvin was on that team. Guys I looked up to, including yourself, by the way. That's why I'm so excited to be here. I grew up with a poster of Tom Dolan and Mel Stewart on my wall growing up as a young swimmer.
I'm a fan of Tom Dolan. I have a poster of Tom Dolan myself. I love the Goodwill Games. The Goodwill Games, for anybody who's out. So most of our podcast is coaches and swim parents. We pull in some young kids, but mostly it's the adults in the room, which I like because they have credit cards, and they're also they're making decisions in swimming. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from them. But if anybody out there and they're young, Goodwill Games was it came out of the 1980 Olympic boycott. And Ted Turner, who headed up CNN and Turner Broadcast and TBS, he created this event, which was this a Russian or a USSR when it started, U.S. competition, which grew into a huge event. I went in '86 in Moscow, and I did it a few times, and it was as exciting as any World Championships or any Olympic Games in terms of the experience. It was to jump into the fire on the national team at a Goodwill Games in high school.
Yeah,
it's pretty legit. So what did you drop to make the national team and make the Goodwill Games team? Do you remember?
Oh man, well, so what else was really cool about it was in Brisbane, Australia. So it was a totally packed stadium of people, and I'd never seen anything like that for a swim meet before. I think I made the team for the 200 backstroke, and it was a really cool format where there was a U.S. team, a Europe team, an Australian team, and the rest of the world team, and we did a dual meet format. So there'd be 2 swimmers in the pool at a time from each delegation, and I think we did like a 3 or 4 day long dual meet format, and it was really cool. And I was in high school, and I walked on deck. Stands totally packed. I saw a sign with my name on it from someone in the stands, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever been to a swim meet where there wasn't only anything else other than parents in the stands, in the U.S. So that was an awesome experience. I forget even how I swam there or how I did, but it was so cool to see that and be a part of it. I think I was swimming like a 158 and a 200 back then, or maybe 159. I don't know. I remember swimming against Matt Welch, who was the great Australian 200 backstroker at the time. Maybe it's 2 minutes. I don't even remember. It was so long ago. It's fuzzy.
I think what's interesting about your history, and it's and I asked for a little nudge on the back end. I'm like, look, I'm looking for some nuggets here. You know, it's something that really tells me about you. And I knew this, and I forgot about it. And I knew it because Braden Keith brought it up, and because he is just our editor in chief. He's co-founder at SwimSwam. He knows everything, and so anyway, he has this database of athletes who were incredibly great swimming against icons. And but you refresh my memory. So at U.S. Nationals 2007, you were 4th with a 156 in the 200-meter backstroke, 5th in the world. But at 4th, you don't make the A team. So what? I mean, I don't want to be a bummer here, because I hope this is a character building moment for you. But you know, what's it like to be like, you touched the wall 156 200 back, and you're like, I'm 4th at Nationals. How do you digest that?
Well, I guess you start with the fact that the guys in front of you are Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte, Aaron Pearsall. So not, too bad a company to be associated with. But it was just the golden era of U.S. men's swimming, especially in backstroke. It was just wrong time, wrong place. But, you still get that great feeling of satisfaction of going a best time, doing it at Nationals, finally cracking. I think before that, I was like a 158.1. And then dropped to 156 and did it in the heat with Michael. And I was running Michael down at the end, and he even said that he wasn't going to hold on much longer. And so that was cool to hear that, from an icon like him. But it was still a fulfilling swim. It's just, a lot of character building moments in one swimming career that thankfully transitioned really well into business.
And I mean, just so everyone can really familiarize yourself with you, because we're going to get into the business side, which is frankly the most fascinating thing happening right now in swimming. If you're out there and you're like, hey man, this is the leadership series, they want to get into it. I like hearing the background. I like hearing what made you and how chlorine is in your blood and how you're connected and your roots to the sport. So we're going to get into that, but to bottom line, it's like 156 200 back. You were a 146 200-meter freestyle, and that was was that on the American record relay? No, it was yards. But you've been 146 200-meter freestyle.
That was on an anchor leg at the end of a relay. Wow. Not many swimmers. I think a lot of swimmers going to end their career on maybe a bittersweet note, or they didn't get everything they wanted out of that last swim, and that was one of my last swims. And it was on a relay at U.S. Nationals late at night in Indianapolis. And
wow.
Like everyone had left the pool deck. My friends were all like back at the hotel. But I swam on that relay with my brother. It was really cool. And we were, I think he went second and I anchored it. And we were chasing down a team that was swimming exhibition from the UK. I don't know if it was like their national team was there. So I went in the water way behind and chased down this guy from Great Britain. Almost chased him down. You can look at the results. It got real close at the end, but pulled me along to swim, 146.0 in the 200 free. And, I think I can walk away from the sport knowing I at least approached that word of potential with that swim. I never really put it all together at the right place and the right time at the Olympic trials, but I was really happy I was able to have that swim and to do it in a relay setting, which I always enjoyed more, to do it with my brother. That was really cool. That was a special moment in my swimming career.
146 flat, 156 200 back, 146 200 free in a relay is 146 flat is legit. That's chlorine respect. And in yards, you broke the American record in 2007 short course, PVK Davis and Phelps, and you anchored in a 132.3 roughly. And here's the thing: I was 134 when I was in college, so I look at that and I'm like, whoa. But today, we got guys that are dipping under 130.
Yeah. Way faster.
132 is fast. 132 is legit fast. What was it like training with those guys? Tarwater, PVK, Phelps. What was it like in practice? What was, was it frightening to go into practice each day? Was it painful? Paint a picture for me.
I mean, it was intense. Like it was, in addition to those guys in 2006 to 2008 in Ann Arbor, we had Eric Vent training with us every day too. Cleet Keller was with us for a while. We had Haley Pearsall, Callan Keller, Charlie Houchin, and a lot of other Michigan guys in town too. And it was intense every day. I mean, and sometimes there was no love loss, and sometimes guys would get in each other's faces in a good way. It was competitive. It made you faster, made you want to be better. You could see every day what the greatest of all time was doing in Phelps, and seeing how he was training and what he was doing. You could measure yourself on a daily basis against the best, which was something, no one else in the world could claim to do with training for the Olympics. So in that regard, it was really cool. And, we had Bob Bowman on deck. We had still John Urbanchik was hanging around the pool deck too. And so we had some pretty awesome coaches watching us. I could probably write a whole book and a novel about all the experiences of that time and everything that went into the Phelps's 8 Olympic gold medals run leading up to that. And I've been asked about it many times, but definitely one of the more memorable periods of my swimming career for sure.
Here's the thing: when you're going 156 200 back, 146 flat on a relay, 132 yards 200 yard free. When you're doing things like that, you are, if you're not at 100% of your ability, you're at 99.99999. It's like you pushed it as far as you can go. But and everybody knows that. What's entertaining for a podcast is the unique moments in U.S. swimming history, in swimming history globally, where people do things where they do a 400-meter flutter kick. I didn't know this piece of history, but it's the kind of things that I hear about over beers at conventions with coaches. And I never heard this one. But so you, at the time, unofficially, you were the best flutter kicker in the world at 400 meters. Tell us that story, paint the picture, bring us to that moment.
I say unofficial because who knows, but we were in the middle of practice one day, and we were actually training at Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti because our pool in Michigan was under construction. So we were at Eastern, and I think there was a 400 kick for time on the practice, and we had started talking early on in that practice about something that Phelps and Bowman had watched Ian Thorpe do at a training camp, where I think he kicked like a 5:01 in practice. And we started wondering, like, could anybody go faster than that? Who would go faster than that? And if I remember correctly, I think Phelps put a little wager on it with me and said that he'd buy me dinner if I could break that record. And so I went for it, cleared out a lane, and absolutely went for an all-out 400-meter kick in practice at Eastern Michigan. And I had Urbanchik and Bowman's stopwatches on it. And Phelps paced me the first 200 meters. So we were out fast, real fast. I want to say like 220 or something like that at the 200-meter flutter kick at the split. We were doing one pull into the wall, flip turn, one dolphin kick off the wall. And then, just flutter kicking the rest of the way. And I think I clocked in at 4:56.1 or something around that time. And Phelps was good on his word. He came through, bought dinner. Thorpe didn't have the benefit of, Michael Phelps pacing him the first half of his 400 kick. But I think some other guys have gone as fast, if not faster, by now. But at the time, no. Urbanchik claimed it to be the unofficial world record. So if he was wrong, then you can blame him on it.
I think if Urbanchik says it, it's sort of like God's law in swimming. That at least that's in my head and in your head. So that's all that should matter. What was for dinner? What was for dinner?
Oh, I don't know. I think we got like a pizza or something. But something local in Ann Arbor.
I was hoping you'd say it was an 80-ounce tomahawk ribeye, but you guys, you were young.
This was before his 8 gold medals. So if it was today, yeah, he'd be paying for some nice chop house food.
So you have this history and these moments, which is what binds us. Yesterday we talked to John Neighbor, who's a hero of mine and the guy who inspired me. And he always nudges me and reminds me. He goes, the older you get, it doesn't matter what you won, because what you did to bring your achievement to the level that you could. And he goes, we all have that shared interest and shared connection. And he goes, the older you get, that's what matters. And what really matters are all the stories. And I think that you have one of the best I've ever heard with the 400-meter flutter with Phelps pacing you for 200 meters. I think that might be an Olympic gold medal of memories. And we'll just go ahead and chalk it up to that. I hope you feel the same.
They got to put flare kicking back in the Olympics sometime, and I'll make another run at it.
That's legit. So in freestyle, were you somebody who just laid on? Did you just were you all legs drive and laid on your arms? Were you a galloper? How would you break down your freestyle stroke?
Probably, obviously a little bit too much legs. I mean, in practice, Peter Vanderkay we call him a mediocre kicker, but put the paddles and the pull buoy on, and no one could keep up with him. He's a little different animal. I think freestyle is more inherently an upper body driven stroke. You got to have a good kick, but you got to have a large upper body and an even balanced freestyle. I think I was fairly evenly balanced, but I swam a lot more 200 and 100 at Michigan, so I got a little bit more of an imbalanced sprinter stroke. But I never really could figure out the 400-meter freestyle swim. I always seemed to split that oddly. But the 400-meter kick, for some reason, that was just a fly and die, something I could do.
We're going to put you in the kicking camp, and so as we do, we've done 187 podcasts now. We've got a lot more to go. We're enjoying these. But we're learning more about each other in these things, and we also let a little bit of our personality leak out. So people know this. This is standard history. I personally have I hate sprinters. I can't help it. It's a hidden dark shadow in my soul, but I would have to say right under that, pullers. People who are anchoring, and then suddenly when they put on a buoy and paddles and they just take over, like I could never pull with paddles and a pool buoy. I went to the back of the line. I was terrible. How were you when the paddles and buoy came out?
Definitely, I'd say mediocre. Yeah, it was a little different, especially with the big blue paddles that we would use. I couldn't even handle those, and I had a lot of shoulder problems. Guys my size tend to do. And so I used the small little yellow paddles most of the time because all the shoulder issues I had. I usually went to the back of the line too, but I claimed it was because I was tired from the kick set right before.
I would always, there were the tiniest paddles at my club team, and then went to Mercersburg, and then at the University of Tennessee, and they were teeny tiny. They just barely covered the square of my hand. And I always found those paddles, hid them, so that I always knew where to go to get them, because I hated big fat paddles.
Yeah.
So kindred spirit.
Absolutely. I was just going to say kindred spirits, you and I. We're kickers all the way. I remember watching your underwater dolphin kick was revolutionary at the time.
At the time, but I thought I was a great dolphin kicker, and then backstroke back when I was swimming, there was no 15-meter rule.
Right.
So 100 back was butterfly on your back. And I thought that I was the best in the world in kicking until I got third at NC2A's 100 backstroke, but I was on the other side of Burkhoff, and I just watched Burkhoff beat me, and we kicked 99 yards. But Burkhoff had this thing nailed down. What's fascinating about a lot of our peers is that they have this experience, they have this discipline in swim. And especially with guys like you, there's, I think of Brent Lang, who's now a CEO. He's taking his company public. He's another University of Michigan alum. I think about guys who have your sort of background, your sort of education, and your entrepreneurial spirit. So when I heard about what you're doing with Big Blue Swim School, and if people who are listening out there and they're not watching the video, if you'd like, if you want to pop over on your phone, or if you're at your desk and you want to look out on your computer, it's bigblueswimschool.com. And if you're on bigblueswimschool.com, click over to franchising, bigblueswimschools.com/franchising. And you're going to learn a little bit about what Chris is doing now, which is fascinating. And we're going to get into this for the remainder of the podcast. Learn to swim is the milk and honey of our sport. And Tom Dolan's got his schools. Lenny Kraselberg has his program through the Jewish Community Centers, the JCCs. There's some big companies out there doing it. And so I'm familiar with it, but I think that what you're doing is the most innovative I think I've seen in history to date. Give us the 411 if you're sitting down for a cup of coffee and you're saying, hey, this is what I'm about. What's Big Blue Swim School?
So Big Blue Swim School was what happened after my competitive swimming career. So I just narrowly missed the U.S. Olympic swim team in 2004 and then again in 2008. And I had a lot of disappointment, a lot of confusion at that point in my life. And I really just started teaching swim lessons as a way to make ends meet. And at that time, I got to admit, I was a little disillusioned with my swimming career and frustrated, like I said. But teaching swimming to especially younger kids and sharing that passion and joy for the sport was really rejuvenating to me. It kind of brought me back to life. And before I knew it, it was growing into an actual career path. And, one day I thought of this name while I was sitting at a red light of Big Blue Swim School. And I thought it was really fun and easy to remember. And I realized that when you teach a kid to swim, as soon as they get in the water, their whole mindset changes. And this fun, imaginative world kind of takes over where, they think they can fly or they can pretend to be their favorite character from their favorite show. And you just play a lot of games, a lot of head fake learning. And I just found it to be a totally different mindset. And we called that the Big Blue world. So to me, it's impossible to get out of a body of water and be in a worse mood than when you got in. I really think it has this transformative experience. And whether I'm competitive swimming or teaching swimming or just swimming at the beach, it's just a part of me. It's what I grew up with. And it's it's something I will always be doing one way or the other. I'll be working in and around a swimming pool. So I started Big Blue Swim School. To share my passion for swimming and to create something that wasn't going to narrowly miss with disappointment like my competitive swimming career did again. I don't know if I would have survived those early days of starting a business had I not started with that mentality of, this is my passion and this has to work this time. And one of my favorite quotes is that it's okay to give up 1,000 times as long as your feet never stop moving. And so while my journey has transitioned from the competitive swimming world into starting a business, it still very much feels like the same journey to me. And I just keep fighting and working hard every single day. And since the early days of Big Blue, it's continued to pay off and become successful. So one of the ways that we became successful is when Big Blue Swim School first started in Chicago back in 2009. We were renting pool space from a local church in a 70-year-old pool in their basement that had no windows, and started teaching swim lessons there, paying $100 an hour for that pool time. And slowly over the course of about 2.5 years, built up a lesson base of roughly 650 weekly lessons. From there, we built a business plan to say, hey, if we took this model and we put it into a conveniently located strip mall in town and built a pool in there that's 4 feet deep and the water's 90 degrees, this is a viable business plan that can teach thousands of local area kids how to swim the right way, which is something we were really passionate about, with our own curriculum, which is, by the way, very kick-oriented, very kick-based. So that was a big part of how we started Big Blue. And at the same time, you mentioned it's innovative. At the same time Big Blue Swim School started, all of the off-the-shelf software platforms were not very good. So we really started two companies at the same time. We started a Learn to Swim company and a software company. So we built our own software to run all of our swim lesson scheduling, all of the billing, all of the management that goes into the daily routine of running swim lessons. And we've continued to develop that over the last 10 years into a really differentiated tool for Big Blue Swim School, both for our customers, our franchise partners, and our employees giving that awesome four-wall experience every day.
And if you want to scale up, anybody who understands business now, if you want to scale up your back-end software, everything that manages your business is the business, because you're for those we got a lot of friends, we got a lot of former elite swimming peers, coaches. We have people who are probably who swam and they culturally identify with swimming, and they've been successful in some other areas in their professional life, but they're not really happy and they like to get back into swim. You know, if you're thinking about owning if you a swim lessons program, a Big Blue Swim School franchise, this is in your wheelhouse. This is what you're thinking about. What's ahead of you is what's that back end software like? Because it's going to save you. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you a headache. Because when you're a young business, a lot of it's about, do you have the legs? Do you have the endurance to make it? This software helps you have that endurance.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're selling swim lessons or donuts or whatever. If you don't think of yourself somewhat as a tech company, I can almost promise you that there is a competitor of yours out there that does, and will eventually gain an upper hand. So, we have a lot of franchise partners that look at us solely because of the software component to the business and how it is changing the overall experience for customers, and how it's really improved the swim lesson into a 21st century experience. I like to say that the best business ideas are always hiding in plain sight. And swim lessons have been around forever, and they likely always will be around. And all we've really done is taken that experience, built a better curriculum, and built a software component around it to meet the needs and the customer service expectations of moms and dads in today's market, which I am now a member of. I'm one of our customers. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old here at home, and we're looking for activities to do during the day now because schedules have changed, and we're looking for fun, safe activities for our kids, and swim lessons are part of that. It's not really like a tennis lesson or a golf lesson, which are nice, but swim lesson is a mandatory part of parenting. It's a part of growing up now. The CDC says formal swim lessons reduce the risk of drowning by 88%. So this is really a need that every family and every community has. And we're super excited to bring the Big Blue Swim School concept across the country, because I think more kids need to learn how to swim the right way.
Well, it's, you started in a church. You built it up to your renting space. You had 650 lessons. But let's be honest about what you've done in the background as an entrepreneur. I mean, this is why I'm so excited for you. It's I don't know how much you can share, but if you can share, please do. You made a big partnership to scale your software business, the Big Blue Swim School, scale it up. And as of right now, do you have 75 plus units sold franchising Big Blue Swim School? Can you talk a little bit about that and how you did it and how you have arrived at this moment where you are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really big goal. We want to teach a third of the kids in the U.S. how to swim. We want to open up 400 locations across the United States in all of the major metropolitan areas. So they're really big goals. And I'm of the mindset that you need to surround yourself with really smart people, and a lot of them, if you're going to go tackle those big, audacious goals. And that's what we've done. We've partnered with a private equity firm, and they've been a part of this growth trajectory for us and helped set some of those goals. And I think our franchise partners, when they come into one of our discovery days, which we call Dive-In Day, where they learn about the business, they're really impressed with the plan that we have set forth in order to accomplish those goals. We don't expect franchise partners to be experts in real estate or construction management or even how to market a swim lesson. We handle all of that for our franchise partners. We want our franchise partners freed up to build great relationships with their customers and with their teams. Everything else we take off their plate, we handle for them. So the pre-opening marketing campaigns, post-opening marketing campaigns, we answer all of their phone calls for them, and we set them off on the right track with the right real estate site selection and construction management so that they can show up day one fully trained and ready to give great learn to swim experiences to families and their communities. And so setting up franchise partners is really at the core, the key to our success as an entity. And we know that that's how we're ultimately going to become the most beloved dominant swim school on every corner that we compete on, which is really what our goal is all about. Our stated mission is to show kids they can do anything by unlocking their full potential in the water. And so if you aren't passionate about that mission, then you're probably not going to become a great franchise partner for us. So we all get really excited every day about living that mission. We're very much a mission and values driven organization. And that mission is really our North Star. It's our guiding light at the end of the day of really getting excited about what we do for kids on the local level. It's not just about learning to swim. When they come into a pool, they're oftentimes pretty afraid of what a swim lesson is going to be, and they don't know much about water. But it's a really cool, magical experience to see a kid's confidence just start to grow like by leaps and bounds when they realize that they can swim across the pool for the first time, or they can put their face in the water for the first time. And that is what a lot of our franchise partners begin to realize. They get into the business and say, wow, what's happening inside the pool is really cool, and I want to be a part of that. And so everyone in our company aligns around that shared mission, which is really fun thing to be a part of on a daily basis.
We're down to about 4.5 minutes. What I want to say is this: it's most people who have our this shared experience in swimming, you come with that, and the fact that you have developed Big Blue Swim School with this mindset just means that it's going to connect with people in an easy way. What I'm hearing as I listen to you, and I've heard this before, but what I'm hearing when I listen to you now, and I hope everybody hears it as well, is that a lot of us want to be entrepreneurial. And the truth, the raw, dirty truth about being an entrepreneur is this: oftentimes you have a very narrow level of expertise in something. And most of us, it's swim. We all have PhDs in swim, but we don't when it comes to real estate. We don't when it comes to software that manages. We don't when it comes to accounts payable. We don't when it comes to marketing. But we have this specific skill. But all that other stuff keeps us from moving off the base and going, I'm doing this. And what I love about what you've created is it's the best that I've seen that allows someone with this skill set to go, you know what? I can take all those steps and I can be a business owner. And being a business owner is a really great thing. I fall in that bucket. I don't have all these skill sets. I was lucky enough to have people around me that did bring that talent to the table. Otherwise, some things, SwimSwam wouldn't have worked. There's an enormous amount of support. If we're down to 4 minutes, what is, if you're talking to a peer and they're like, you know what, I'm unhappy in my job, or I'm coaching and I want to own my own swim school. What's your takeaway to them? Hey guys, this is the step you need to take, and this is where you need to start.
Well, I would encourage you to go check out Big Blue Swim School's franchising page, see if you're the right fit for this model. But becoming an entrepreneur is a lot like being a swimmer. You got to be ready to work your butt off every day. And a lot of people come with that mentality. But what it really comes down to is your resilience. Like you said it well. You're not going to come to the table with all of those skills, and you're going to have some setbacks. But if you can just keep moving forward every day and getting those little wins start stacking up into big wins. If you can be resilient, you do start to figure it out. And then you got to surround yourself with the right people who maybe do have those areas of expertise. But if you just keep building every day, just like every practice builds on the next practice, you keep going back to those roots, it really can pay off for you. The hardest step is that first one. And you got to almost like go back to that time in your swimming career, like the first time you dove in to swim a 400 IM or a 200 butterfly or a mile. Like, you didn't know what was going to happen in that race, but you're going to have to figure it out. And that's a lot like what starting a business is today. You don't know what's going to happen, but the hard part is just starting. Just start it. And even if you fail, you're going to learn so much. It's going to be really valuable for the next step you take in life.
You have 1.7 million lessons delivered. Started back in 2009. You got 75 units sold. You guys are spreading across the United States. You've only got 325 more to go before you reach your goal. It's we're down to 2 minutes, and I don't want to throw a lot on you in the last 2 minutes, but I think that it comes down to this. If there's a takeaway, if someone wants to reach you or contact you and they need to lean on you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you could go to bigblueswimschool.com/franchising. You can read all about the concept there. You can fill out a form there. There's a phone number right at the top of the website. We've got guys ready to talk to you anytime. You can send me an email. It's chris@bigblueswimschool.com. Be willing to chat and talk with anybody out there who's interested to talk about swimming. We're looking for great partners, and if you're motivated and ready to get back to your swimming roots, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk.
Thank you, Chris. Will you come back on the podcast?
Will do. Thanks so much, Mel.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.